following video excerpt is taken from a recording made by Canberra's Channelvision in 2005. It concerns an exhibition of my paintings at the Arwen Gallery in Canberra, again in 2005, where the Peter Grimes paintings were displayed. My thanks to Channelvision for allowing me to use this short segment on my website.
Earlier this week, Justine spoke to Ian Henderson about his work and in particular this exhibition.
Hi, I'm Justine Campbell, and today I'll be speaking with artist Ian Henderson about his career and the current works that he is exhibiting at the Arwen Gallery. English born and bred, Ian now lives and works in the Hunter Valley of New South Wales. He has exhibited extensively both in Australia and abroad, written many publications and won countless awards. His paintings are sought after by public and private collectors alike, both in Australia and overseas. Henderson's work continues to explore an interest in landscape and place and the effect that the character of a place has on our understanding of it, in both an emotional and atmospheric sense. In his most recent works, much of his inspiration was derived from the opera Peter Grimes by Benjamin Britten. This opera is not quite as well known here in Australia as it is perhaps abroad. So let's chat to Ian to find out more about the impact it has had on his art. Hello Ian, welcome to the show.
Hi Justine, thanks for having me.
Ian, can you tell us a little bit about the opera Peter Grimes and what made you choose this as the subject for your 4 paintings?
Peter Grimes is not a terribly well-known opera. It originally came from the UK, like I did. However, I think it was shown in Canberra in the 1980s when we were living here. I'm almost sure that the Canberra Theatre had Peter Grimes as an opera on. I first heard it round about 1962 when I was a student living in a tiny little flat right at the top of a building overlooking the Swansea docks in Wales. And as all students at that time, and still are, not much money. So I joined what was the local record library, and I'd been along and I'd taken out a few records, one of which, of course, was Benjamin Britten's Peter Grimes, which I knew nothing about at all. Now, I placed the record, as it was, an LP on the turntable one Sunday morning before breakfast, or before even getting up probably, and looking out over the Swansea docks I heard the music from Peter Grimes, which was based around an early morning scene in a fishing village. And that was so amazing to me to be able to hear a piece of music and to actually see the same scene at the same time, that it started a great interest in what Benjamin Britten was doing and also Peter Grimes as an opera. Essentially the opera is about a small fishing village. It's about the man Peter Grimes, fisherman, who unfortunately has several disasters in his life. One, he is accused of murdering his apprentice at sea, and secondly he loses his second apprentice at sea. But my interest and my paintings are based around the atmosphere that was created in the village, the fishing village, and how people responded to Grimes himself. So the 4 paintings that are on show at the Arwen Gallery, which are based around the Peter Grimes opera, are to do with the 4 pieces of music that Benjamin Britten wrote for the opera itself.
So these 4 pieces of music that the paintings have come from, so how did the ideas for that develop initially?
Right. Now I have to go back and say that the whole opera Peter Grimes was based on a very long and tortuous poem written by, I think, George Crabb in about 1920, which Benjamin Britten got hold of. The actual village, the fishing village itself, was set in East Anglia, on the coast, a very barren coast there, and a fishing village just as a little community, which seemed to me, when I came to do the paintings, to be very similar to, and not as opposed to, for example, the fishing village, say, Eden, or Stanley in Tasmania, or Port Fairy in Victoria. Any of those sites could be the setting for what would be the atmosphere and character of the Peter Grimes opera. One of the things that's, of course, interesting is that the opera can only portray the music, the sound, and the action, the theatrical action on stage. At the very best, it can show the pub where Grimes drank his beer, or the house in which Grimes lived, and maybe with a coastline out in the background. So the opera has great difficulty in coming to grips with, say, the whole atmosphere of the village. Although that's portrayed in the opera itself, it's not visually seen. So what I was interested in was trying to capture the atmosphere of this village in the various scenes of the opera itself.
So how do you find the correlation then between the music that you're using as your impetus, I guess, as well as painting as a different form?
Yeah, I think actually music and painting are very similar. At one stage I was working at the University of New England within the Department of Theatre Studies, and I was given an option at an early stage to operate either within the Department of Music or the Department of Theatre Studies. I thought theatre studies would be more visual, but in actual fact, in hindsight, music is more visual and theatre is more dramatic or graphic, if you like. So the graphic component of theatre was something that I was associated with, but the musical quality simulates and resembles the process that fine art uses. That was my interpretation of it anyway. So I found music is quite a thing that I've got a good, strong response to.
Well, I guess music in a way tells a story. Well, lyrics often tell a story, and your paintings aim to tell a story, but in some cases more than one narrative. So can you tell us about the idea of layering that you use in your paintings?
One thing that I'd like to clear up is the difference between fine art painting and illustration, because in my mind there is a big distinction, and the one illustration is a way of depicting a scene, to my mind. People will argue with this, whereas the fine art approach is trying to look at the way in which the layering of activities in the whole idea of what one's dealing with come to the surface. So although you're not portraying necessarily actual things, you can be portraying things that have happened historically or geographically, which become part of the total activity of painting. At the moment I'm working on a series of paintings based on Curry Curry in the Hunter Valley in New South Wales. Now, Curry Curry is what we might describe as a post-industrial setting, and this post-industrial feel to an artist coming into the area is very evident. It's evident in the artifacts, it's evidence in what has happened to the landscape, and it's evidence through the nature and character of the people who continue a tradition of that industrial coal mining area, where originally there were maybe 30 coal mines. There are 3 now, and the area is changing, as all areas change, but to depict some of the past made present is the way I'd like to describe it, is what I'm interested in doing. Now, I think it was Thomas Hardy that said the pressure of the past upon the present.